So reports are coming out that now somewhere over 2,000 former DOJ officials are recommending that Barr steps down, saying that he's biased and that he allowed Trump to improperly influence him on his suggestion of Roger Stone. So there's two angles to look at this from. The first is the less important but still worth talking about, and that is Barr has no one to blame but himself for this. If he had done what he should be doing and arresting deep state officials for their obvious crimes, then these former DOJ officials wouldn't have the thunder to tell average people, oh, look, Barr's corrupt, because they'd be busy saying, oh, wait, he couldn't go after Comey, he couldn't go after McCabe, etc., for their obvious crimes. And the American people would see, that's ridiculous. They committed obvious crimes, including lying to Congress and lying to investigators. Check out my live stream that I did Sunday, and it'll show you 6 officials that lied to Congress or to investigators that even someone like me can prove without spin, using the actual transcripts and documents from things like the IG report to prove they lied and are guilty of these crimes. That includes the former head of the CIA, John Brennan. That includes the number 1 and number 2 at the FBI at one point, that's Comey and McCabe. That includes the former director of national intelligence, Clapper. And it also includes Hillary Clinton's top 2 lawyers, Mills and Aberdeen. All of them definitively lied. Barr has done nothing to prosecute any of them. And as a result, this allows the opposition, the establishment through their mainstream media mouthpieces, and a bunch of corrupt establishment former DOJ officials to levy the attack at Barr. Oh, he's just Trump's wingman. If he would have arrested these criminals, then no one would have taken the establishment seriously. The average person would say, oh, so I'm going to listen to former DOJ officials that were okay with the corruption of all these people at the head of the intel agencies? Of course not. But Barr brings it on himself. So for all those that said, hey, Barr was correct to tell Trump to shut up and stop tweeting. Yep, you're right, because he said if he tweets, that'll encourage these people to be angry and say that Barr did something. Well, the number one thing Barr could have done to keep them off his back was to actually charge McCabe, charge Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Mills, Aberdeen. He declines to do so his fault. Now, what this says about these former DOJ officials is even more telling. Remember, the official narrative going into the 2016 election was, there is no deep state. It's all, this is myths and rumors, there's no deep state. Well, now we're getting a first-hand appearance of what the deep state actually is. It's not people in robes drinking blood out of skulls or something like that. It's these bureaucrats, it's people that pay for the government and control it, it's the military-industrial complex, it's establishment politicians on both sides. They operate right out in the open, and it's become even more blatant, their corruption, since the election of Donald Trump. Now, instead of being told there is no deep state, what did they tell us when Vindman and them were testifying against Trump? Of course there's a deep state, and it's a great thing. So that's how far we've come. Now we see these 2,000 former DOJ officials that are all part of this deep state. How do I know? Because they spoke up about Barr recommending that an unjust sentence of Roger Stone, 7 to 9 years, be lowered to 3 to 4 years. Yet where were they on any of the other cases I said? I proved Brennan lied. I proved Comey lied. I proved McCabe lied. I proved that Clapper lied. I proved that Mills lied. I proved that Aberdeen lied. Yet none of them were charged. I don't recall thousands of former DOJ employees standing up and saying, this is an outrage. This is two-tiered justice. When Obama's FBI investigated the Hillary Clinton group and gave everyone immunity when they obviously broke the law, including destroying subpoenaed evidence, yet they were totally left off the hook for it, including the FBI destroying their devices. Where were these former 2,000 DOJ officials? Or even better yet, when the IG report came out that showed the incredible abuse of the FBI, that the FBI under James Comey 17 times broke protocol, including manufacturing evidence and completely lying to a FISA court about what the actual source said. Where was the 2,000 former DOJ officials then? They're okay with the most powerful investigative and intelligence apparatus in the history of the world being weaponized to go after the President of the United States? They're okay with that. They have no problem with that. No problem with Hillary Clinton destroying subpoenaed emails. No problem with Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac and only being found out because one reporter happened to see it. They had no problem with any of that stuff. Not one of these 2,000 spoke up. Not one of them signed a letter saying, this is an outrageous miscarriage of justice. It's outrageous how the DOJ under Obama was corrupt. It's outrageous how the FBI is corrupt. They didn't say a word. But Barr recommending Stone only get 3 to 4 years instead of 7 to 9, and they lose their minds. They're incensed. This is tyranny. It's a dictatorship. Maybe I would believe these 2,000 officials if they said not only should Roger Stone receive 7 to 9 years for lying, but so should so should Comey, so should Clapper, so should Brennan, so should McCabe. So on one hand, they think lying's such a serious deal that Barr should have to resign for thinking someone doesn't deserve 9 years for it. But on the other hand, when their people in the deep state, such as McCabe, Brennan, Comey, and Clapper lie, they demand 0 days in jail. So it goes to show how corrupt. I know that there are people in the middle of the country, in particular, there are definitely people that are in the media mouthpiece that's just the propaganda mouthpiece for the establishment. Of course, they're tagging onto this. 2,000 former DOJ officials think this. Oh my goodness, it must be serious. And certainly the people that hate Trump, that are never Trumpers, they're globbing onto this. But again, this is the problem with Barr not prosecuting the obvious criminals when we can see the crimes they've committed. Again, put yourself in the position of someone who's just working a 9 to 5. You're basically a moderate. You're not following this stuff very closely. All you know is Trump accused a bunch of agencies of being corrupt. He appointed his person, Bill Barr, who's supposedly fighting diligently to end this corruption. Bill Barr looks at all the corruption and comes to the conclusion, we're not going to prosecute anyone. Therefore, most of these people say, okay, Trump must have been wrong. They're not corrupt. Now, in the same vein, those people look and say, oh, and 2,000 former DOJ officials think that it was absurd for Trump to recommend that Roger Stone's sentence was too hard and then Barr to recommend lowering that sentence? Can you blame the average person? Of course, the mainstream media and all the cultural institutions of power that shape the narrative are going to be pushing, oh, this is a huge deal. This proves that Barr's corrupt. This proves that Trump's corrupt. They're trying to start another impeachment inquiry into Trump over this. And the average person's probably like, maybe there's something to this. All because the constant criminal behavior that we could prove that was done right in front of us over and over again by these intelligence officials is allowed to go on with impunity. I had people tell me, oh, well, Barr couldn't do anything until after the Russia investigation. And then immediately after the Russian investigation was the Ukraine investigation. But now they'll crack down. And I said, are you kidding me? The next investigation's beginning. So what, they'll have to wait until after this as well? Good job, Barr. Great job leaving the criminals run free. You have only yourself to blame that their allies, the former DOJ officials, are now demanding your resignation. So clearly, Barr shouldn't resign over this. If anything, Trump should fire Barr for allowing these criminals to walk free and put someone in who has the wherewithal, even of someone like me with no legal experience. Give me 20 minutes in front of any jury and I could prove these intel officials lied using their own words. But Barr couldn't accomplish that. So, hey, sorry, Barr, sorry about your luck. But once more, in addition to just being Barr's mistake or Barr deserving this, it's also the fact that it proves how elaborate the deep state is, how incessant it is, and how it's everywhere. And these former 2,000 DOJ officials are all slimy and corrupt that encourage the corruption of the deep state. Hey, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm now going to be able to do mobile live streams, so thank you all so much for that. I really appreciate it. I've reached that milestone of getting enough hours viewed. You can check my description where you can find a link to me on other platforms, such as if you're not watching me on YouTube, you can watch me on Twitter, DLive. You can follow me on Periscope on Twitter. And I also would appreciate donations can come through PayPal or Patreon. But I also, on my live stream, now I have a super chat option if you want to donate that way. So tune in tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time, where I'll be hosting the Patriot Super Panel. It's going to be a fantastic show. We'll be talking about stuff like this on there. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a good one.